Good afternoon. It is January 28th. Welcome back to the garden. Well, to the greenhouse. It's 38 degrees outside. The sun did sneak out for a little bit today. But what do you do when it's 38 degrees outside? Come in the new greenhouse and you plant. If you're new to my channel, my name is Smalley, and this is a documentary on a weed-free deep mulch gardening system. I had one of the subscribers say this is a labor of love. And it is, and this is actually a good time to be talking about that. Valentine's Day is February 14th. Now obviously I don't have time to grow any roses, but I do know what my wife likes, and I do have time to get lettuce up. So don't tell my wife, but I'm going to plant some lettuce today. In the next 10 or 12 days it should be out of the ground. Hey, I told you I was romantic. So come on, let's plant. Before we get to planting lettuce, the onions that we planted the other day, that compost was good and wet. It's had a couple days here in the greenhouse. So let's go ahead and give these just a drink of water. Now I like using this jug with a couple holes drilled in the top. You can use a milk jug, a juice jug. You have pretty good control. You don't want to flood out your new seedlings. You have pretty good control with this. And you know it's recycling, so it's all good. Since I am a romantic, I am going to plant this spicy mix. In 10 to 12 days, I should have a bouquet fit for royalty. All joking aside, planting lettuce in a container like this, it's okay for the windowsill, but I'm going to transplant these into much larger containers. And we have a little bit more control in a smaller container like this. I'm going to go ahead and plant 5 here and we'll see what we get. Once I'm done planting up this Valentine's bouquet, I think I have something that might be fun for you and your kids or your grandkids to do this weekend. It has to do with learning how to plant. It's something we can do together. It's something we can follow all the way through the summer. We'll see what we get. Let's go ahead and get these planted up, then hang out with me, and we'll work on a project for this weekend. The one thing I need is a hook out here to hang my coat. It's a lot warmer than 38 degrees, and I don't want to sit it on the floor, so I guess I'll suffer through. Now, for everybody that gardens, this is going to seem very basic. But if you've never gardened before, you can do this. It's very simple. If you've never planted a seed before, you can try this. Just take any container that you have laying around. Doesn't have to be a pot from a potting store. It can be just about anything. You want to have a few holes in the bottom for drainage. You fill it about 3/4, a little more full of potting soil or compost, and just lightly tap it down. We've got these already preset. Now for your seeds, this is a mixed bag and they're kind of small, but go ahead and pour some out in your hand. And just take a little pinch. Just lightly scatter them around the top. Don't put too many in, but you'll be okay. Whatever sprouts, if it gets really thick, you replant it in a bigger container. Lettuce is pretty forgiving. Or you start thinning it out and eating it right away. So you don't have to put too many in each one of these. Like I say, I'm going to take and repot these anyhow into a bigger container. So I kind of want them to come up a little thick. And we like eating them the minute they get out of the ground. Put any seeds you're not using back in the pack. And I've already got some soil in another container. Just lightly sprinkle over the top, not very much, just a light little bit. These don't have to be very deep. You don't even have to poke holes in for these. Just scatter a little bit on top. And just lightly pat it, just lightly touch it down. And that way you have good soil contact with your seeds, top and bottom. Now if you're going to do this in the house, you're going to want an old lid or something to set these on. Because when you water it will come out and you don't want to make a mess. So you can set this up on your windowsill. We're going to leave these out in the greenhouse, but you can set them up on your windowsill. I only have, since I'm leaving them out in the greenhouse, I don't really need stuff for underneath them. But then take your pitcher or watering can, just give them a little drink. And that's all there is to it. Every day come out and check the dampness of the soil just by touch. If it's a little dry, give them a little water. If it's a little wet, just leave them alone. Just go ahead and put them on the windowsill, and within 10 or 12 days you ought to have little green sprouts. And that's all it takes to grow something. It's really that simple. So I encourage you, if you've never gardened before, give it a try. So come on, let's plant. Now if you want something to do this weekend, I've got a little project here. It might be really fun for you, your kids, your grandkids. So let's take a look at what I've got. I've chosen beans for this project because they come up very quickly and they put on a nice leaf and they're really nice to watch grow. I take a paper towel roll, cut it in thirds. At the bottom, if you squeeze it a little bit, kind of breaks it in half. Make a slit on one half, make a slit up a little bit on the other half, turn it over, do the same thing. So you're going to cut 4 little slits, divide it, and just like a cardboard box, take each one of those, you take this little ear, you bend it in, and crease it a little bit. Bend the next one in, crease it a little bit. Do that all the way around for all 4 pieces. And there you got a little box. And this will biodegrade. You don't have to take the plants out of these to plant them in the garden. You can just take this whole little container and plant it in the garden. Okay, from here, you're going to take some potting soil or your compost and just fill this about 3/4, just like we did the bigger pots. Just take your finger and just snug it down. Don't push it down too hard. Get just about 3/4. And I've chosen this little rectangle container to hold these up. You can use whatever you want. You can write their name on it, the date that you planted it. All right, 5 will fit in there. And you notice they don't have to be uniform. All they're doing is holding the soil as a medium to get the seeds to grow. The other reason I like using bean seeds is they're big enough, they're easy to handle. Having this only 3/4 inch full, you don't even have to push it down into the soil. You set them on top right in the middle, because we're going to add some soil to them. One of the reasons I put it in this kind of container is because of the water. We are going to have to water this, and they will seep through, and these will get damp, and you don't want it to all fall apart. Now that you got that planted up, you just take a little bit of water. You might want to help them. Put a little bit of water in each. I believe that'll be a fun project for this weekend. It only takes a few days, and you should start seeing some results. Since this is a documentary, we'll keep an eye on these. We can compare them with what you're doing at your house. When we plant these in the garden, maybe you'll want to plant yours in the garden around the same time. Then we can watch them grow. Then we can compare how the harvests come out. See, I told you, that might be something that's fun for your kids or grandkids. They can see how gardening works. They can have a plant of their own or 2. They can follow it all through the summer. I think you'll be surprised at how excited they get when it's their plant. I know I was when I was a kid. I've only had the greenhouse up a few days and I'm already filling up the workbench. Now if you'd like to see how I repurpose these pallets to make a workbench, leave a comment below. I'm going to have to make a few more. If you're interested, I'll go over it step by step. I do want to thank you for visiting the greenhouse and for visiting my story. It's been almost a year, and it's looking like it might be a really good year next year. I hope you follow along, and until next time, remember, take care of yourself, take care of your family, and God bless you. Come on, let's plant.
Let's go plant garden.